Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Coming up, when should you keep your Ozempic use a secret?
Also, Americans say this much money makes you financially independent and more on the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Some behind the scenes of RadioU. This is normally, I don't think people would normally talk about this, but I think it's worth addressing. I'm trying out new headphones on the show, and it's, as you may be able to sense, really throwing me for a loop.
What's wrong with you? Why are you acting weird?
Because I got these headphones.
See, but why do they sound? Do they sound weird?
For everybody, yeah, they sound way different. So for everybody, normally here at RadioU and many other radio stations, the typical thing you would do is you'd have the over-the-ear headphones, you know, like the ones that go over the top of your head and whatever.
The ones I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, the ones I say, yeah, but people can't see. And so for me, though, we did have a pair of headphones like that were mine, and they broke. And today, it was like, let's make an upgrade. Let's get into the future. We do a lot of video stuff. It'll look better, and it might sound better if we switch to in-ear monitors, they call them.
Does it sound better?
That's hard to say. Better?
Your voice sounds different.
My voice sounds different.
I think it's because you're hearing yourself differently.
That's
so
what
you're
I'm
doing
thinking.
a different thing with your voice right now.
Is that better or worse?
Way worse.
Way worse.
No,
You don't like this
joking.
voice.
But it does sound a little different.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it all. So I've got the in-ears. It's like blocking out. I think it's blocking out all the other noise, but
They look sharp.
It's also like I hear a little bit of a Chris, our engineer, Moneybags. If you're listening, I hear a little bit of an echo. Am I hearing my voice twice? Is there like a delay from hearing my voice to hearing that's noticeable enough? I don't know.
So are you going to be able to do the whole show with those on?
I think I get used to it. I think I'll get used to it, but I don't know if it's an improvement. That's what I'm not sure of.
Like a little echo.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure.
Maybe
but they
look good. They don't look very comfortable.
What's weird too is it's not that they're uncomfortable. I actually don't really notice them that much in my ears. But what is weird is that I can't like take them off and on because they like go over my ears. It'd be very like the headphones you just on and off. These in-ear monitors, they go inside your ear like AirPods, but they have a cord and they have to like hug your ear. And so I have to like
explore. Like if you were going to explore, they kind of wrap around the back.
Oh yeah, like the hats.
Yes.
Like yes, that I was confused at first, but yes, the hats. Yeah, so I have to like have a tug a cord at the back of my head and stuff. I can't just take them on and off. So I have to hang over my ears all the time because I still want to be able to hear the outside world when I'm not doing the show.
I'm not going to lie. If we try to make those, like, everybody have those, I'm going to fight it really hard.
You're going to fight it? You don't want to try them out?
I'm going to fight.
Look, I mean, maybe I just need to try. I've got, like...
The squishies?
6 other sets of squishies I can try.
You don't want those.
I don't know. There's the rubbery ones that I have on, but maybe my ears are too... Maybe this is the wrong size of rubbery squeezy.
You have the wrong size earbuds in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're in, but maybe they're not like making a soundproof seal is probably what people would say.
Well, the show is off to a horrible start.
Like salary, to be financially independent, to be free, to not have to worry about asking for stuff from other family and friends, getting deals and handouts and, whatever. How much would it take for you to be financially independent? Because I actually have the answer from the average American right here. Isaiah, what's your answer?
It's tough to say. I think that you can be fine making lower than people think.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be way too high.
You think the number is going to be high?
Yeah, I think that the people think of financial independence and they want it to be more than it is.
The answer I have here, this is what the average of Americans say, $94K per year. You got to be making nearly 6 figures before you can be financially free, is what the average American says.
Does that seem kind of high? It feels kind of high.
That feels a little high. Now, my first thought was it definitely depends where you live. It's just not one size fits all, I would say. But, I mean, hey, listen, $94,000 a year, I'll say you ought to be financially free if you're making that. If you're making that and you're still not financially free,
What are you doing?
yeah, you got some issues. You got some trouble in your past. But maybe 94,000, I don't know, how do you map this out? 94,000 a year. Some people have some pretty high student loans, but I think that's an overrepresented portion of the country. So we can disqualify that.
And you can also think this as well. If you're making $94,000 a year, that puts you in the top 24% of the U.S. population. So that means that, that means that 1 in 4 people are making that much money.
That's crazy.
1 in 4 people are financially free.
That's right. Now that feels like that's low. Like more people should feel financially free. I think more people do, which means it must be lower than that, right?
You had to think so, right? Because 94K seems like a little bit aggressive. But also, I guess you said it depends on where you live. If you live on California, that's a different amount of money.
Yes.
Than it is in Indiana or something. But you also got to think with a little bit better budgeting, you got to be able to make it work lower than that.
This is an individual, right?
Yes, this is an individual.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, because to me, I'm thinking if I made between me and my wife $94,000 per year would be that's pretty good for 2 people. Forget about 1.
You got to think this as well. This is what I did. This doesn't add up to me, right? So then if we look in 2023, the average income for a family for 2 people, 76K. Where's this math?
Yeah, so 1 in 4 people individually make $94,000.
Yes.
And you get the average 2-person income is $76,000.
So you have to think that the other 3/4 of people are making less than that.
So little money.
Yeah.
We're really bringing the averages down here.
Really crushing it there.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Because the average income right now is still like $44,000 for most people, which is people have known that that's how much it is.
You think there's somebody listening right now that's making $94,000 a year, and they're thinking, they're not even like, man, I'm crushing it. They're just like, man, I wish I could make some more.
They're like, how are 2 people living off of this?
Yeah.
76? How? I can barely live off of this.
Listen, what I'm telling you is if you're making anywhere close to $94,000 individually, count your lucky stars. Things are going really well for you.
Stop complaining, you complainers.
Add a little Riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
We're going to talk about something that, 2 topics that are close to Isaiah's heart. 1, Ohio State. 2, women's basketball. A matchup over the weekend, you alluded to this elsewhere in the show, is that Ohio State pulled off a big upset over the biggest name in women's college basketball right now, Caitlin Clark and Iowa. And at the end of the game, once it was all said and done, the Ohio State fans rushed the court. Are you pro court rushing?
I'm fine with it. I think court rushing's cool.
I like court rushing, storming the field.
It makes it exciting. It's something that's memorable.
Yeah.
Especially for the fans, for the students that usually do it.
Yeah, it's a special thing. It shouldn't happen too often. And you could debate, this is questionable. Ohio State's women's team also in the top 25. So is this a court rushing scenario? But either way, good to see they're so fired up about women's basketball. But the downside of court rushing and field storming is exactly what occurred in the Ohio State-Iowa at the tail end of the game this weekend. And that is Caitlin Clark herself got knocked down by one of the fans of Ohio State that was rushing the court. And fortunately, it doesn't seem like it resulted in a serious injury, but it very easily could have. Isaiah, what do we do about this?
What's tough, because I look at this and I'm like, she got knocked down, yes. Did it look like it was super egregious? Not so much to me. The video, there's a couple different angles of it. It looked a little bit like a flop. Did it not? To any normal person. I showed this video to many people yesterday, and it looked like a flop to me. But I mean, maybe she did really get knocked down. Does it not look like a flop?
I'm not going to accuse. What to what end? What would that prove?
Well, she spun in a twirl.
Uh-huh.
But let's hear what Caitlin said. Hammered. She was hammered.
Yeah. Blindsided.
You could even say.
I'm really torn here because I love rushing the court, rushing the field. I think it should be done. I hate that schools are encouraged to discourage it. I don't like that, but I don't want like if she had actually gotten hurt, then where would we be? That might be the end of court storming. So we got to figure this out.
But how do you stop? How do you stop it?
You don't stop court storming. You've got to do something to get the teams off of the field safely.
The players out of there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Without them being trampled over.
Yes.
Yeah, it's understandably so.
Maybe like a trap door or something.
A trap door?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or just like right when the game ends. I guess it would be safer for them to be off the court. Stay by the benches and just file out.
Could the fans, is that too much to ask the fans? Probably. They're animals.
You can't ask anything of the fans.
No, you can't.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think that she got hammered? Did you see the video? You guys see the video. If you want to see the video, I'll send you the video. In my mind, and I'll call a flop, and I like Caitlin Clark. There was a flop.
8-7.
Come on.
Nobody does it better. The Riot Radio U.
Picture this. You're like 8, 9 years old. Your dad takes you to your school where you guys are gonna shoot around on the basketball court with some of the other kids and whatever. Some of the other dads just get together, do a little shoot around, and then playing, bang, gunshot.
Gunshots.
That's exactly what happened in St. Paul, Minnesota at Como Elementary School around 5:45 p.m. when police had to respond to a report of a person who accidentally got shot with their own gun. They show up, and sure enough, one of the dads, a 30-year-old who was carrying his gun. He had a valid permit. However, he was carrying his gun unholstered when it discharged, shot him in the leg. Fortunately, nobody else was injured, but a pretty egregious error on this gun owner's part.
At least he just shot himself.
Yes, we'd have a crisis on our hands if anybody else.
If he shot a child?
Yeah, exactly.
And was he on the basketball court balling? Was he shooting hoops?
That's what it seems like. The man had been playing basketball while carrying a handgun on his body unholstered when it discharged. So,
well, why didn't he have it holstered? That's the first thing. If you're going to carry your gun, at least holster it.
Yeah. We all know that.
It's the first thing.
That's the first thing. But the second thing,
safety. Have the safety on.
Yep.
Especially if you're going to be at an elementary school.
I've never taken any gun classes, but yeah, the safety feels important. I also don't think I need to take a gun class to know that, like, who's going to shoot the most likely person to shoot you during a basketball game is probably you. Especially at an elementary school. Why did you need to have it with you at all?
Just in case.
What kind of, maybe it's a bad neighborhood or whatever, but what? You got to have it on you? I guess you don't want, it would also be irresponsible. There's a bunch of other kids there. Set it down, yeah. And let little Jimmy.
Because you're up. You've been waiting for your turn to play.
That's right.
You can't just set it on the bleachers. That'd be crazy.
Well, yeah, yet again.
Keep it on you.
You don't know who else could pick it up if you set it down.
It makes sense.
Little snot. They could get it dirty.
Exactly. And it makes sense, too. He probably was going up for like a layup, got fouled.
It probably was a foul that made it go
it had
off.
to be a foul. It wouldn't have been just regular play.
Yeah.
Somebody probably got his arm. Or
that's right. We were just playing a clean game here. There's no reason for it to go off, but somebody roughed me up a little bit.
A little physical play, and all of a sudden.
And one.
Yeah. Shot himself in the leg.
Do you think, I imagine that responsible gun owners hate hearing this.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's such a divide among like the anti-gun people. And then if you have a gun, you're like, but it's safe. And then there's this guy, this bozo, out here making it
us all look bad.
Yeah, that's right. We aren't all carrying our gun with the safety off unholstered while we're playing basketball.
Or playing pickup hoops in elementary school.
But
yeah, it's a bad look across the board.
It does make it seem, I know he's not representative of all gun owners, but it does make it seem like, just because you're a gun owner doesn't mean you have to have it everywhere with you all at all times.
And you think, too, like, the worst part is he's going to have to go back to his wife, and she's going to be like, what were you thinking?
You talked me into this. You said it was be safe.
Our child, Johnny. What are you thinking? You could have shot somebody else. Yeah, not a good look for old boy.
Yeah. I wonder, will he get to continue carrying?
Well, I mean, yeah, he just needs a holster. That would save everything.
That's the problem.
The stories you love with the opinions you hate. The Riot Radio U.
Got a little dilemma on our hands here. You can share your advice at 8772 Radio U. I have a person here who has lost about 45 pounds thanks to Ozempic.
That's good.
That's good news, right? The backstory is struggled with her weight for a long time. Finally decided, actually this was a bit before Ozempic really took off, that dieting, after trying all the diets and whatever, it really wasn't working for me. So I went to the doctor, really wanted to get weight under control. Doctor prescribed Ozempic, and boom, it worked. But I was too embarrassed to say anything. And so when people ask, because if you lose 45 pounds, people are going to be talking. And when people asked, she would just say, yeah, just eating healthy, working out, the usual stuff. But now that Ozempic has taken off and she's been lying all this time, she's starting to feel like a little bit of a fraud. And people are asking, Ozempic, a big topic of conversation. Should she fess up to her friends and say, yes, it was Ozempic this whole time, or continue on living a lie? Isaiah, your thoughts?
This is a tough situation to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not living a lie. Like, I get that maybe you told your friends that you were eating healthy or whatever, but it's not like it's anybody's business whether you took Ozempic or not. Like, who do you owe to tell?
Uh-huh.
Like, they don't need to know your personal weight loss stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you feel as if...
But you did lie.
You did lie. But it's your own personal business. So in my mind, I'm like, you don't need to go back and be like, hey, just so you know, I know you asked me a while ago what I did. I actually took Ozempic. Like, I don't think that's anybody else's business.
But does this change? Because the way she speaks about it here, this woman who prefers to remain anonymous, of course, I'm getting the impression that because Ozempic is such a high-profile, hot commodity topic of discussion at the moment, that some of the friends that she has are throwing around negative opinions of people who take Ozempic as well. Maybe they would think a little bit differently of her if they knew. Maybe they'd think differently of her in a negative sense if they knew. Or maybe their opinions of Ozempic takers would change if they knew she was one. Does that change your trajectory here on this?
No, I still don't think that she owes anybody anything.
Keep it a secret.
I think if you don't feel comfortable sharing it with people because you're embarrassed, you don't need to tell anybody.
But why should she be embarrassed?
I'm not saying she should be embarrassed. I'm saying that there's no reason for you to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do feel embarrassed, then you don't need to share it. Do I think they'll mock you for it? No. They shouldn't if they're good friends. They should be happy that you've lost weight. But if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, there's no reason for you to feel like you have to.
But they may not mock her. They may be like, oh, it was Ozempic the whole time. Well, that changed my whole view. But they could be mad at you for lying because you did lie. So keep it a secret.
You think keep it a secret?
Yeah, I think so.
if you don't feel comfortable sharing it or you feel nervous about it, you don't have to do it. But if you would like to, I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it is.
Let us know what you think. What would you do? 8772 Radio U. Do you confess? Do you say, yes, it was Ozempic all this time? All that dieting stuff is nonsense.
You've caught me.
Yeah.
It's over.
Red-handed. I can't live a lie anymore. Or do you keep it a secret and let them waste their time dieting, even though it won't work as well as Ozempic would? 8772 Radio U. Amberlynn, it's the Riot.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
You ever thought about what you would say to a celebrity if you got the chance? Like you just happened to brush up against them at the mall. And what would you say?
Well, it depends on the celebrity.
Yeah, it does, right? But you can't plan for every celebrity. So do you have like a template?
Oh, like a cure-all type deal?
Yeah, just because to me, I always think, depending on who the celebrity was, I'd try to say, hey, I really liked whatever you did, but I would not pick the most popular thing. I would pick something that's less popular. And if I can't think of something less popular, then I'm not that big of a fan. I don't need to say anything.
Got it.
That's my strategy.
So you're thinking maybe say something obscure,
Yeah.
memorable even,
Mm-hmm. Like,
to prove your fandom to them.
if it was Rainn Wilson from The Office, for example, I wouldn't say, hey, I really liked you in The Office.
Because that would be too obvious.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
I would say, I really liked you in Super. And he would be like, wow, probably way less people saw that movie. I'm glad you liked it. I hated it. I'm being him now. I actually hated it. I don't know if he hates it. I think he liked it. That's not what. Now, that's what I would do. But I have a flight attendant here who actually did run into Rainn Wilson from The Office. And I think she had a very good strategy that she went with as well, because she went from the heart. She dropped him a note as she was.
Oh, a note.
She dropped him a note written on a napkin. I guess she maybe was a little too bashful to say anything to him face to face. Yeah, but instead she dropped Rainn Wilson, who played Dwight Schrute in The Office. And the note written on a napkin says, "The Office got me through some of the darkest days of my life. I can't thank you enough for that. Sincerely, Melanie, Alaska flight attendant," from an Alaska Airlines flight that Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, was on. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good from the heart.
Very cute.
I like that. But then, Isaiah, the cynical part of me kicked in.
Oh, here we go.
Because did you hear what airline Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, was flying on?
Alaska Airlines. That's the person that caught my eye as well.
Yeah. And what a good little PR moment for Alaska Airlines. You know, it could really use a good little PR moment right about now. Some positive headlines. Alaska Airlines.
That is cynical of you.
It is, right?
You can't ever just
You think this could
appreciate something good?
Could this be orchestrated?
You think orchestrated?
Could they have wrangled a little deal with Rainn Wilson and just be like, hey, say you were on Alaska Airlines flight, get somebody to write a note that looks like it's from our flight attendant. Boom. Is it that hard to believe that could be a possibility?
It's not that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Would you have picked Rainn Wilson? Would he been the first choice? They're like, we need to get some good PR.
Probably because he's attainable. A lot of now Rainn Wilson, I don't know if he does this. A lot of the Office people huge on Cameo. This is basically a cameo. They're just like, hey, instead of like recording a happy birthday message, record a, wow, Alaska Airlines. Thanks.
Let me ask you this though, right? The reason it seems orchestrated is because she dropped it to him when he's sitting on the flight.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would the flight attendant write Alaska flight attendant and not just flight attendant?
She's right there.
Like she's on the plane.
Yeah.
He knows it's the Alaska Airlines.
He knows which airline he's on.
Like she had to put Delta flight attendant.
Yeah.
Spirit flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
She really had to write Alaska.
It doesn't pass the smell test to me. It doesn't. And I like Rainn Wilson, but I don't know. I don't know about this one.
You think it's orchestrated?
Flag on the play.
Oh, goodness.
If podcast awards were ever a thing, this show wouldn't win any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast. Thanks for watching the Worst of the Riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more Riot.